American airlines in China could face internet travel and government boycotts if they do not follow Beijing's order to change the way they label Taiwan on their websites. They warned defiance by the U.S. airlines could further hurt relations between Washington and Beijing. That's the latest tension between them over Taiwan, over which China claims sovereignty. China has threatened repeatedly it will use force if necessary to impose its rule over the island. As expected, the U.S. sides with Taiwan over the dispute. The U.S. side-taking has made matters worse.
I think that the current situation in the United States with our president, Donald Trump, is causing increase in tensions all over the world, and particularly tension with China. The trade war that is bubbling to the surface currently between the United States and China is a serious thing. It's not a minor thing, and it reminds me of the events that happened prior to the Second World War.
Some Western analysts say China knows that an invasion of Taiwan is risky. They say Beijing might attempt unification with Taipei through military means rather than invasion, such as capturing smaller islands claimed by Taiwan and launching cyber attacks against its information and communications infrastructure. The question is, will such measures provoke a response from the U.S.?
Worried about an accidental military confrontation when these countries are trying to show their strength to each other and they're using bellicose rhetoric like it's coming mostly from the White House. There's always the possibility of a mistake or an accident. And when you have a president who manifests certain psychological symptoms, I guess, that tend to overreact or to react in an unthinking sort of way, then you always worry about a mistaken blip on a radar screen or a mistaken interpretation.
Observers believe the U.S. will not engage in a military confrontation with China, as this would be too costly. They say the U.S. instead will use Taiwan as a bargaining chip and will finally reach a deal with Beijing. Taiwan is willing to pit the U.S. against China if the island is threatened. The Taiwanese foreign minister has said Taiwan is vulnerable to Chinese invasion without the U.S. U.S. President Donald Trump has previously said why Washington shouldn't recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state. That would be a breach of the U.S. stance on one China policy that recognizes Beijing's sovereignty over Taiwan. Trump was later dissuaded from recognizing Taiwan by his advisors. He has thus far contented himself with a trade war on China and is no longer focusing on the Taiwan dispute. Regardless of what Trump will do in the remaining years of his presidency, the dispute over Taiwan will remain a tricky issue in U.S. foreign policy.